Good afternoon. We have Dr. Tasha Seiter, marriage and family therapist at Heart of the Matter Therapy here, therapy and coaching. Go ahead, Dr. Seiter. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, hey mamas. It's so nice to be here. I'm so excited. This community just inspires me so much. So thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited today to talk about my work as a couples therapist, and this all comes from research based and validated couples therapy methods. So I'm going to talk about the three most common patterns, destructive patterns. There's positive patterns as well. We're just going to talk about the destructive ones today, in relationships and how to break them. So I just want to start with a question. Um, what do a lion and a sink full of dishes have in common? I'm curious if anybody wants to take a guess at where I'm going with this. Anyone want to take a guess? Um, Well, the answer is that when you see them, you'll go into fight, flight, or freeze. So these are our responses to threat, to something's wrong here, something's not going right, to the amygdala firing off and saying danger, danger, danger. We get that when we see a lion. We get that when we see a sink full of dishes. And there's a reason that we get that response. I mean, basically, when we see either of these, we're gonna go into one of a series of responses. One is fight. Maybe you're gonna fight back the lion. Um, Maybe it's flight, which you're gonna run away, or you might even, if your nervous system determines that the predator is all too dangerous and it's too close and there's no chance of running away, there's no chance of fighting back, then you might just play dead. And that is freeze, the freeze response. So the fight, flight, or freeze response, those are kind of our nervous system's response to threats. So we don't see a lot of lions in the daily settings of our life, but if you're anything like me in my life, you see a lot of sinks full of dishes. And what that tells our nervous system is I'm in danger. And if you're in a partnership and that sink is full of dishes because you're in a partnership and your partner, they said they were going to do the dishes, they didn't do it. They said they were going to clean up when they made food and they didn't. Your nervous system is going to say, no one has my back. I'm not safe. I'm in this alone. All of this is my responsibility. No one's here considering my feelings. No one's here making me feel safe. So that's why oftentimes we go into fight, flight, or freeze, not just when we see a lion, but also in our relationships. So this is kind of what our fight, flight, or freeze responses might look like. Running. Having trouble seeing that one right now? Or freeze, play dead. They both say, I'm not safe. So because of these hardwired systems, there are three common types of patterns that relationships fall into. And the first most common is called pursue, withdraw. So this is when one partner criticizes or demands. That's a fight response. Whereas the other partner shuts down, hides, or appeases. So that's the flight or freeze response. And in this pattern, there's conflict, pain, and disconnection. The pursuing partner longs for closeness and to feel loved and cared about, but expresses these feelings in ways that send the message, you're not loving me right. And so this causes the withdrawing partner to feel inadequate and that they're disappointing their partner. And that results in the action of shutting down. So they lose confidence that they're capable of being a good enough partner. And they feel shame that makes them want to hide. And then when they withdraw, the pursuing partner feels even more alone and becomes even more critical or demanding. And therefore, this cycle just becomes more and more entrenched over time in the absence of intervention. Oops. Oh, didn't realize when I scrolled it would do that. Okay, there we go. A withdraw pattern. This is another common pattern I see in my practice. This is a pattern of mutual turning away. And so if you're caught in this pattern or you know someone who is, you might show up in my office and you wouldn't say, we're fighting a lot. You would say, yeah, we hardly ever fight, but I don't know, there's just something missing. It's like this feeling of closeness or emotional connection. And maybe you might say, we haven't had sex in years. Um, and what's been happening here is that when either of you is feeling a vulnerable feeling, what you tend to do is instead of turning up the emotional heat, like someone who tends to pursue might do, you turn down the emotional heat. And so you go into your own corner and you try to self-soothe and you try to take care of yourself. But when both partners do that, it means that over time, you are going to feel a sense of emotional distance and feel not close over time. And a lot of times these couples come to my office and they're like, I don't know what went wrong. I don't know how we got here because we never fight. I don't know why we just feel kind of like roommates. So that's the withdraw pattern. And we're going to go in depth on each of these. Then there's the pursue pattern. And this one is interesting. It's also called the fight pattern. And what I see in my practice oftentimes is that this is a pursue withdraw pattern that has changed over time to the point where the person who used to withdraw and turn away from the conversation and go into a turtle shell, they have started to feel like I'm sick of being run over. When I go into my turtle shell, I'm blamed for things. I'm sick of being the one who's always blamed. And so they start to bite back instead. And so this is oftentimes someone who is more maybe the way that their emotional distress shows up is with like criticisms or demands, and then someone who tends to fight back and be defensive. So that's what I see with the pursue partner. And both people are getting their dukes out. The conflict just escalates. It doesn't get anywhere good. It doesn't resolve. Um, Both people end up feeling just totally exhausted and like their conversations aren't going anywhere. So that's kind of what that one can look like. So I want to start from the very beginning. Like, why do these patterns happen? What is it about the human experience that keeps us stuck in these relationship patterns? Like, why? why can why does this happen so commonly? Like if you're stuck in one of these patterns, you are far, far, far from alone. So the question is why? And I think going back to right when we were born to be responded to. And in fact, you're born with large eyes and a round face. These are areas of these areas, the adult brain. Actually, they've done research on this that they activate the motivation and reward centers of the adult brain. Because if you've ever played with your baby, you know that when you smile at them and they smile back, it's just the most rewarding thing. You just want to keep doing it, right? So that is from the very beginning. We have all craved responses from our caregivers. Your baby craves a response from you. Um, that just lights up their brain. When you smile back at them, when you play with them, that is something that they feel a sense of I matter, I'm important, I am loved, I am cared about, I'm being engaged with, right? So this hardwired system, we still feel this as adults. And so I'm going to show you a video here about the still face experiment. So this is an experiment that researchers did. They wanted to understand what happens if a mom, she just stops responding and she just goes still face. What will the baby do? And what we find is that the baby goes through a predictable series of reactions. So I'm gonna show you this because I think the best way to do that is to just demonstrate it, is to show you what happens when a baby doesn't get a response. Hold on 1 second here. Okay. Might not be. Is it showing the video? Maybe.
Not seeing a video.
Not seeing a video. Okay. Let me just switch it over really quickly. There we go.
Yes.
And can you hear it?
No.
Okay. Well, you know what? It won't even matter. I just want you to watch what happens here. And I'll kind of annotate it. So you can see here that the baby and the mom, they're mirroring each other, they're playing, the baby's happy, the baby feels that engagement, right? Now here's where the still face part comes in. And he's just explaining here, mom is given instructions to just have a still face. So she's going flat here, and we're going to see how the baby responds. There's this, okay, kind of wondering what's happening. What do I do? Okay, I'm going to look at you. Are you engaging with me? Okay, here's me making a little bid. I'm going to smile at you. Oh, what about that? There's a little bid. Do you see that over there? Trying to bid for connection. There's like reaching. Let me try to re-engage you. And then when it doesn't work, there's this expression of anger. Infant, yeah, it's trying to reconnect. When it's not working, they're getting frustrated. Okay, so yeah, here's the baby screeching, clapping. Is this gonna work? Is this gonna work? They re-engage you. Now he bites himself. The start of self-harming. Just there's so much tension built up in the body, trying to do something about it because this is so distressing for the baby. The baby's looking away. Okay, what else can I focus on? This is so distressing. Okay. And so we see at the end, yeah, we see at the end he's starting to shut down. Let me pause this video. Stay with me here as we try to figure out. There we go. So we see this baby go through a predictable series of distress. First, they try to reconnect, they try to re-engage, they do all the bids that they can, they point. What about that? Will that work? When that doesn't work, there's this obvious distress. They get angry. It's like this anger response comes on. Why aren't you engaging with me? And then when that doesn't work, it just goes to this dissociative mode, this shutdown, this flight response, or this freeze response. So there's this predictable series of interactions that happens when there's a lack of response. We're not getting that response that we need. So going back to my presentation here. Bear with me here just for a second. There we go. Um, so the baby goes through the series of what it comes out as protest behavior, like connect with me. That is what the anger is all about. And this happens in adult relationships as well. So this brings us to pursue, withdraw, which is the most common pattern that we see in couples therapy and in general. This is an extremely, extremely common pattern that happens with couples. And even if you're in a great relationship that you're happy, you're satisfied, you are having your emotional needs met, you might have a flavor of this. It's natural, it's normal. When you might want to come to couples therapy is when you notice that it could be helpful to come to couples therapy, that it could be helpful to figure out what's really going on here and work on correcting the pattern. So sometimes they call this pattern the cat and mouse because there's one person who likes to turn up the emotional heat. They are more likely to bring up their needs, but they're more likely to bring up their needs in a more harsh, a lot of times it's criticism. Maybe sometimes it's demanding or threatening the end of the relationship. They want to zap their partner awake, is basically what someone who is the cat, or what we like to call the pursuer. This pursue withdraw pattern, it's also called the maybe you've heard about the anxious attachment and avoidant attachment dance. I don't like to use labels as much of that in my practice because I like to use attachment positions, because this is a dynamic between two people, and I think that it's not necessarily stable. I think maybe I'm an anxious attachment, I'm an avoidant attachment isn't always a helpful label. And that's not always true either, that these dynamics can shift depending on the system. So the pursue behaviors, you're acting out the anger, turning up the emotional heat. It might sound like you're always late. Don't you care about me at all? Or if you can't do this for me, maybe we should just end this, but expecting a reaction there. Or I'm sick of doing everything around the house. You need to contribute. On the outside, what you might see is the way that the other person responds to this is withdraw behavior. So they go into flight or freeze. So they might just freeze, shut down. Like you can see the male partner in this picture. He's just totally shut down, looking away. He's not even looking at her. He's turning away. The partner might avoid or leave, and that's a flight response. I also just want to point out there's some nuance here, because actually someone who is a pursuer, they might also avoid or leave, but it's with a different motivation. They leave and they come back and they say, "Why didn't you come after me?" Someone who's more of a withdrawer, they leave the situation and they just don't even want to talk about it. So there's some nuance here. That's why sometimes it can be hard to identify your own pattern. They might hide. Hide is the action tendency that is associated with the feeling of shame. Just like a dog, when you look at them and you say bad dog, maybe they ate your chocolate or something. You say bad dog, they're gonna cower, go in the corner and hide from you. Humans do that too. When we feel that we've done something wrong, we want to hide, we want to hide ourselves. We don't want to be seen in that moment. We also, withdraw behaviors might look like appeasing or placating. Okay, whatever you want. Yeah, I'll do that, whatever you want. Okay, honey. That is a withdrawal behavior because the other partner can feel that as a lack of engagement. It doesn't feel satisfying because they can tell it's just an appease response. It's another form of the flight response right there. And so it doesn't meet emotional needs when someone says, okay, whatever you want. So that's another form of withdrawal behavior. So this is what this looks like. We've got the pursuer who does protest behavior, just like that baby who was getting angry in the video. Why aren't you engaging with me? Humans, adults do that too. They might try to zap their partner awake. This is serious. you're this, you're that, you need to work on this, right? They might try to zap their partner. Also, this might look more low grade than that kind of stuff. It might look like somebody just saying their needs, but saying it in any way that lands on the other partner. Like, I'm not good enough. I'm not capable. The people who tend to withdraw, they tend to be more performance oriented. So they're very interested in, how am I doing? How am I performing? And am I a good partner? Am I appreciated? And so when they get these criticisms or demands or this protest behavior, turning up the emotional heat, they get overwhelmed. And so they withdraw. So they freeze, or they hide, or they avoid. And then what happens when they do that? The other partner goes into a detachment panic. I'm not cared about. I need a response. I feel abandoned. If your partners ever turned away from you and gone into a turtle shell, you might know just how distressing that can be. Just like getting a still face. You will go through the same series of feelings and of reactions. And so protest behavior might be one way that you demonstrate that. So how do we break out of this pattern? It is all about sharing your feelings. Share those feelings. Share the underlying feelings. Don't share the I feel angry. Share the get in touch with your need to feel close and to know that your relationship is important. That is what's underlying all those things that happen on the outside. What you really need inside is just to feel close, just to feel connected, just to know that your relationship is important. But we don't always share that because you're in a fight or flight response. And when we're in a fight or flight response, we're acting out that nervous system response. But that's what gets us caught in this pattern that just never ends and goes round and round and round. So start to share your underlying feelings and needs, what we call primary emotion. There's this sadness that is underlying your anger. 1 second, I'm just gonna let my cat out here. Come here. So what we call primary emotions, there's this underlying feeling of sadness underneath what you experience as anger. There's an underlying feeling of sadness, like, I want to feel close. It hurts. I'm lonely. That doesn't always get expressed. And that's because we're in fight or flight. What therapy can help you do is, this is emotionally focused therapy. We help one partner get in touch with more of that primary emotion in the room, that sadness, that longing, and turn to their partner and share about that. And turn to their partner and share about how that's underlying their action tendency that keeps you caught in this response. It's like, hey, when I criticize you, I think what I'm really feeling inside is I just want to feel close and I don't know how to make that happen. And I miss you. I'm lonely. And so the way it comes out is with these criticisms. It's kind of like I'm trying to zap you awake or something. But I recognize when I do that, it doesn't help. It keeps us stuck in this pattern. You feel not good enough and you hide and you withdraw. And then I end up feeling just even more lonely. So can we work on this together? This is all about fighting the cycle together. If you are the person who tends to withdraw and not be the one who tends to, I want harmony, I just want everything to be good, I just want everything to feel safe, I just want everything to feel calm, right? That if that's you, what you need, you're probably more performance oriented and you think, I feel not good enough when they're coming at me in this protest with this protest behavior. I feel inadequate. So your needs are more likely to be, I need for you to see the good in me. I need to know I'm capable of meeting your needs and of you recognizing that. And so this might sound like, hey, I know last night I withdrew. I went into my turtle shell. I just went in my office. I closed the door. I didn't even talk to you about what was going on. I can only imagine how lonely that made you feel. And I know it's not the first time I've done that. We've been caught in this pattern for a long time. And I see how it's impacting you, this way that I withdraw. I think what I'm really needing in those moments is to know that you think I'm a good person, you think I'm a good partner, you see the good in me. Because I honestly feel like I'm trying pretty hard. And in these moments when I know you're not happy, I just get this overwhelmed feeling like, why is nothing I do helping? Like all this effort I put in, you're still not happy. So I guess I just want to know that you see the good in me, you see the effort I'm putting in, and I want to know that I'm capable, because sometimes I don't feel like I'm capable. I feel like I'm still trying so hard and it's just not working, and you still feel unhappy. So I guess what I want from you is, do you think you could work on bringing things up in a little more gentle, kind of softer way? And I only ask that because I know in the moment this would land on me in a different way. That my nervous system wouldn't go into this freeze, hide, avoid, flight response as much, and I can stay engaged. And that's what I want to do with you. Is I want to stay engaged. I want to work on this together. I want to work on our pattern together. Could you do that for me? Could you help work on bringing things in a softer way? And I'll do the same. I'm going to work on my tendency to go into my turtle shell, and I'm going to work on trying to stay here with you. What do you think? Can we work on this together? So, um, share those primary emotions, that that sadness, that longing to feel close. That's always what's underlying these patterns. And it tends to not feel that way, because when this cycle is happening, you start to feel like enemies. I just want to point out that you're not enemies. The cycle is the enemy. And what keeps you two stuck is this pursue withdraw pattern. And this happens so often because of our biological hardwired systems, our nervous system responses, but we can do something different. And that's one thing therapy can help you is sometimes you might not really know how to get in touch with those feelings. Therapy can help you get in touch with those feelings right in the room. My practice specializes in this method of couples therapy. It's called emotionally focused therapy. We specialize in it. So help you get in touch with those feelings so that you can have these more vulnerable, connecting, authentic conversations about what is really going on and not just stay on the surface of your nervous system responses. Because it really is, that is on the surface. That is not what these things are really about. They're about the core needs underneath, and they're about the core primary emotions of longing for each other and missing each other. And no wonder you feel that way when you're stuck in this pattern. The pattern makes you feel that way. It's not your partner. Um, so yes, I think these therapy methods are incredible. So pursue. Let's talk about that one a little bit. You can see these tigers, they're just both jaws wide open. They're showing their teeth. Um, so this is a pursue withdraw pattern. This is what I see in my practice often, is that it used to be a pursue withdraw pattern, and then the withdrawer has started to get defensive. They've started to bite back. So this one tiger saying, "Your breath smells terrible. You better start brushing your teeth, or I might not be around to smell it." Classic pursue behavior. There's criticism in there. There's a demand, and there's a threat. How does that land on this partner? Activating to the nervous system. What they used to do is flight or freeze, go in their turtle shell. They started to say, you know what? I'm sick of going in my turtle shell. I get steamrolled. If I just lay down and freeze, I get steamrolled. So you know what? I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to start biting back. My breath? What about yours? I smell rotten meat. This is a defensive reaction. So let's look at a hypothetical example. Let's say that we've got Mary here. And Mary is a pursuer. She is preoccupied with feelings of not feeling cared about or important in her relationship, or like she matters to her husband with let's call him Rob. Um so Rob likes to stay late at work. He used to be a withdrawer. And he gets a sense of competence at his job. He gets a sense of, I'm good at this. The input I put in, it works, it lands. When I work hard at this, I see the result. I see that other people recognize it, that they see all the effort I'm putting in to improving. This is rewarding. So the more that Mary tells him, what you're trying is not working. When you, I keep telling you, you need to come home from work sooner. I keep telling you, sometimes you need to take me on a date. Sometimes you need to buy me flowers. I tell you again and again and again, and you never do it. What he used to do is he used to just withdraw into work. He'd say, okay, okay, I hear you. And then he would just turn away and he would placate a little bit. You're right, honey, you're right. But no change would happen. And he would just go into his office and work more because that's where he felt like more I work here, people recognize it. I'm good at this. I am good at this. We all want to feel a sense of confidence and competence. And when he's not getting it in his relationship, because he secretly really wants to be seen as a good husband, he really, really wants that. But he feels hopeless and he feels like it's not working. So he gets that need met at work. And that just spirals and snowballs because the more unhappy Mary is, the more that he tries to get his need for competence at work and the more that he withdraws. So that just self reinforces that pattern, self reinforces and gets stronger and stronger, and the distance grows greater and greater over time. But let's say that Rob now, he started to feel like, you know what? I'm sick of always being criticized. He starts to bite back and he starts to say, what about you? Um, you're not the best partner either. I never come home to nice surprises. Um, you're not a very good wife, you know? So this is what that attack pattern. And then she responds with, you're worse than me. And he says, no, I'm not. You are. So do you see how this is someone who is trying desperately to get her emotional needs met and someone who is trying to preserve his self-image. And not only his self-image, he's trying to convince her, I am a good partner. He's trying to convince her, I am a good partner. I am here for you. I can meet your emotional needs if you just trust me. But that's what he's trying to do covertly here by being defensive. But they're very, very stuck. So, what happens when they start to communicate differently? They come to couples therapy and they do a course of emotionally focused therapy, which is designed to treat all these patterns. It's got a 90% success rate, with moving couples from a distressed state to a place where they no longer meet criteria for relationship distress. So they go through a course of couples therapy. Their couples therapist helps them connect to their more vulnerable emotions and their more core longings and needs that they might even not really be in contact with or know what they are because they're so busy being in this nervous system responses and they're distracted by that because they're just talking about these things on the surface. They never really get down to what is this really about. Those things need to be talked about because if they're not, nothing gets resolved. If you just are talking about these things on the surface that are um nervous system responses, you're not solving the core issues. You're not talking about the core issues at all. And not only that, but you are triggering each other and staying stuck in this cycle instead of sharing about your vulnerability. When we share about our vulnerability and our sadness and our I miss you and I want to be close with you in a way that our partner can hear and that's vulnerable and that is I mean, you've probably heard a lot about I statements, but it rings true. Like it speaks from my feelings and where I am. When we're truly able to do that, our partner the natural dynamic and the natural response is they have a caregiving reaction. It's like empathy. Instead of going to the turtle shell or going to the protest behavior, the natural response to somebody sharing something vulnerable like that is a caregiving response of, I didn't know you felt that way. I don't want you to be hurting like that. I want to do what I can to help you feel safe here. Right? So that's what I love seeing every single day in couples therapy is changing those interactions to that kind of bonding conversation, rather than just staying stuck in this pattern. So if Mary comes to therapy and it takes some time because her um, nervous system response is she's been stuck here for so long. She feels so let down and disappointed and um I just am never heard and I feel so not cared about in this relationship because of the cycle. It takes a while to really get her into her vulnerable emotion. And it takes some sessions to get to a place where there's an understanding of what the core needs and feelings are here. But eventually, throughout the course of therapy, she's able to get to a place where she can say to Rob, I know that I criticize you quite a bit. And I know that it's like I come at you like a dog in a dog fight. And I know that the way that impacts you is you used to withdraw into work. Now you've started to get defensive with me and our conversations just start to escalate. I know how it impacts you. I guess what I want to share is that when I'm doing that, what I'm really feeling inside is, gosh, when we first got married, we were, I just felt so close to you. And I finally felt like, wow, I found my person. And I still love you so much. I still love you just as much. But I feel this sense of like, I want to be closer to you. And I feel so lonely. And I don't know how to make that happen. I feel really, really lost. And I don't know what to do about it. And he's able to hear that. And he says, you know what? I really feel that too. I don't want you to feel that way. I really don't want you to feel that way. Let's work on this together. It hurts my heart that you feel that way, right? That's an interaction that creates change. And if he's able to say, I I don't actually care that you, that you don't bring me flowers. Like I don't actually care about that. I think I pointed out because I want so badly for you to see me as a caring partner. I I almost feel like it's the most important part of my identity that I want more than anything. Even to be good at my work, like I just want to feel like I'm a good husband. But I feel really lost, like, because it's almost like every day I think to myself, okay, how do I show up for Mary in a way that is going to land for her? And then I feel like I'll think about it, I'll do something, and then it's like a week later you still tell me you're unhappy. And I feel lost. It's like I feel like I'm trying, but maybe I'm not trying hard enough, or maybe I don't know. Can you help me here? I mean, how does that feel hearing that? And she's able to say, I get you. I come at you pretty hard. Maybe I can work on some things because I don't want you to be in pain like that. Right? So that's what an emotionally focused, vulnerable, authentic conversation is going to look like. And conversations like that are needed so that you're not just staying on the surface and talking about all the crap that doesn't matter. You're talking about the things that actually need to be talked about to get this pattern broken and this thing resolved. So it might sound like sometimes I feel not good enough for you. I want to be a good partner and I just want to feel loved by you. Can you help? Yeah, I can help you rather than defensiveness or rather than um, withdrawing. How do we help each other That's where you want to get. You just want to get to a place where you can share your feelings from the heart, and that makes it so that your partner can be more responsive. So you can get on the same team and fight the cycle and not each other. And you can show each other, I do care about your well-being. Because this is what I see in my offices. No matter how ingrained that pattern is, there is this strong feeling of, I care about your well-being. I just don't know how to help. So when you can get on the same page about how can I help? How can I help? That is what makes all the change. So now we're to the withdraw pattern. So this is when both people are going into their turtle shell. Both people are going into their own corners, and they do that for a reason. Oftentimes, people who tend to withdraw came from homes, childhood environments where they were invalidated a lot. They maybe even were shamed for having feelings or needs in general, and so they learned not to ask for needs to be met, not to signal for needs to be met, not to rely on others. And they become really self-sufficient people. But that's the enemy of connection. Pursue, withdraw. It's such a common pattern because oftentimes people who tend to be pursuers, aka have anxious attachment, people who tend to be withdrawers, aka avoidant attachment, they're attracted to each other because there's balance there. They have complementary, the avoidant one, the withdrawer, they want someone who's going to push for closeness subconsciously. And the pursuer, they're attracted to the other person's calmness and like even keel. But with the withdraw pattern, we've got two people here who have learned to be self-sufficient. And so this is when you find people who say like, yeah, we're just roommates. Really, we don't have affection. We don't feel close. We don't feel emotionally connected. It gets worse and worse over time because when partner A has a feeling of feeling disconnected, it registers in the amygdala as a danger, just like everything that we talked about. When we don't feel close and connected, danger, danger. But what they do when they're in danger is freeze or flight. So that means that they turn away. It's like, I want to feel close, but I don't think bringing it up will do any good. It might even backfire. So they just go in their separate corner and maybe they journal by themselves, or they do a hobby for themselves that they know makes them happy, but they don't do what's actually needed, which is turn to their partner and say, I feel far away from you. I want to feel close to you. What do we do about this? Right? Other partners doing the same thing. So it's like, I'm lonely, but I can take care of myself. I've learned how to be self-sufficient. So they're also turning away and not turning towards their partner and sharing their emotional needs. So I like this graphic of these two people in their turtle shells, feeling far away from each other. They both want the same thing, which is closeness and connection, and to feel that again. But they don't know how to do it because, hey, they're not fighting. Isn't fighting what's bad for relationships? So over time, they both feel a sense of loneliness. They both feel a sense of unmet needs to feel close. But what they do when their brain is saying disconnection, disconnection, this is danger, is they flight or freeze. So they both turn away, they both go separate corners, and it just gets worse and worse over time because then they feel even more lonely, and then they flee some more lonely, flee some more. So over time, these are the couples that come to me. It's interesting from the research, there are two kind of waves of divorce that we see. So the first wave is going to be more of your high conflict couples. So the two other patterns that we talked about, either going to be pursue, withdraw, or pursue, pursue. First wave, they're like, I'm sick of all the fighting. I need to get out of this. Second wave is going to be people who, they're not fighting. This is around like the 13-year mark is what it says from the research, is they're not fighting, but they don't feel a sense of emotional closeness because they've had this pattern going on for a long time. And so it gets to the point where they just wake up 13 years down the road and they say like, what happened here? I don't feel close anymore. It's because with more time There's been more of those flee responses that are just getting them further and further apart. So the important thing with this one and with all of them is address it early, address it before the pattern becomes ingrained. Because then you're equipped with all the tools that you need and all the experiences of safety to create a positive cycle where you feel close and then you feel closer and you feel closer and closer, rather than feeling further and further away over time. So I love this picture. This is an art installation that was at Burning Man one year. And I think it's just the most beautiful thing because here we've got two adults who are facing away from each other. And they're both feeling the sadness, really this agony and distress. You can see it from their postures. They're turning away from each other. They're in their separate corners. But what they really want is to be loved, accepted, and responded to. And so their inner children here are they're caged in their adult bodies, but they're both reaching out for each other. Like, I just want to be loved by you. I just want to be accepted. I just want to be responded to you. And I just want to do the same for you as well. But they're caught in this pattern. They don't know how to get out of it. And there's a good reason they don't know how to get out of it. It's because of our natural biology. Kind of hard to know how to get out of these patterns without all of the research that we've done for how to break them and all these methods that we've created for how to break them. If you've ever been caught in one of these patterns, and most relationships have a flavor of one of them, then you know, it doesn't come easy. It's not always. Sometimes it takes a little bit of going against the current, which is why it can be really helpful, I think, to go see someone who knows about this stuff and knows all the methods and how to do that for you. But so how to feel close again. Turn towards your partner. Rely on them. It might be natural for you to, I can do everything myself. It's okay. I'm used to it. I'm competent. And you are competent. You know how to do that stuff. It's awesome. And it doesn't foster closeness because we can only feel close to people when we rely on them. We can only feel close to somebody when we do the trust fall, when we share about our emotional needs, when we bid for connection. We can't feel close to people when we are just taking care of everything ourselves. And we can't take care of our own emotional needs. We're very social animals. One of the most social animals, actually. And we all have a need to feel close and connected. When we don't, it always feels like danger to our brain. So have the tough conversations about your feelings and needs. Don't just turn away and try to self-soothe and journal it away or meditate it away or talk to your other friends about it or just try to stop thinking about it or just try to create harmony. That is not the solution. Not the solution at all. You need to have the tough conversations about your feelings and about your needs. So take the risk to share with your partner and lean on them. And I just want to say it is a risk. Like, this is so scary. This is so scary. I believe that every person tends to lean in one way or another. Like, if they tend to have withdrawing tendencies or tend to have pursuer tendencies. I myself tend to have a little bit more of a withdrawer tendency. And I'm a recovering conflict avoider. So I know how scary this is to say, you know what? I'm not just entirely self-sufficient. I do kind of want some emotional needs to be met by you. I do want that. That is how you get closer. And it is terrifying. I can tell you that it's just like exposure therapy. The more that you practice it, the easier and easier it gets. Just like if you were afraid of a spider, you might have a therapist slowly introduce you to a spider. First, it's 100 yards away, then it comes a bit closer, and over time, you become more desensitized to the risk and to the fear. And so, if you practice this, it's just like building a muscle. You practice turning to your partner and saying, "Hey, I want this need to be met. hey, this is something that would help me feel close. Hey, can we do this together? Practice it like a muscle. Do your reps. Do your reps over and over again. Lean on them. So these are 3 different patterns that we've gone over today, but the common problem is the same. There are unmet needs for closeness, to feel unmet needs to feel appreciated, unmet needs to feel like you matter to your partner, to the most important person to you in the world. Unmet needs. That signals to the amygdala. Danger, danger, I am not safe. No one has my back. I'm not being considered. I'm out here alone in the savannah, and I'm very vulnerable to danger. Takes you to the fight, flight, or freeze response. Some people are going to be more likely to go to fight, be the pursuer. Some people are more likely to go to flight or freeze, be the withdrawer. And I just want to point out, this happens even in really healthy relationships. You might have a flavor of this. So just notice that. Like, we've all got to work on this in some way, shape, or form to some extent. That's okay. Self-improvement is, and relationship improvement is a part of life, and a very fulfilling part of life when you work on it. So I absolutely love seeing couples show up in my office who are like, yeah, we have a great relationship and we want to make it better. So when these fight or flight or freeze responses happen, that means needs are expressed in indirect and unhelpful ways. The nervous system reactions are taking over and you get stuck in a loop that loops and loops and loops. And it not only does it loop and loop and loop and repeat over time, and the trigger is different. Maybe sometimes it's the dishes, sometimes it's you didn't pick the kids up from school. The trigger is different, but the pattern is the same. And this is what always fascinates me, is the pattern is the same between you. And it happens over and over and over again. And there's a reason it happens over and over and over again, is because it's not getting resolved. You're not talking about the things that need to get resolved. You're just stuck in the nervous system responses and you're triggering each other. And you're stuck. There's a good reason that you're stuck. So this means, yeah, needs are expressed in indirect and unhelpful ways. You're not turning to each other and saying, I've realized this is what will help me feel closer to you. I've realized I feel sad, and you're not getting the responsiveness back, which you're not getting your emotional needs met. So no wonder you're staying stuck. Oh, there we go. So that means there's no resolution. There's more unmet needs. The amygdala is firing over and over and over again and just firing more and just going round and round. It's getting worse over time, not better, which is unfortunate. And this is one thing I love about my job, is like, some people are like, this is just getting worse. And I love coming in and saying, we know how to fix this. So more unmet needs, the pattern takes over, it gets stronger over time. And then you're stuck in the cycle. So how to break your pattern? If you tend to pursue, get in touch with your emotions. Again, sometimes this is hard to do in the moment because you're activated, and you might not feel it in the moment when you're activated and you're in your active nervous system danger response. If you tend to pursue, what you are wanting is closeness and connection. You want to feel cared about, considered, and loved. When your partner forgets to do something, or they forget about something that's important to you, it's not about that one little moment. What it's about is this general feeling of, I don't know if I am cared about to the extent that makes me feel safe. There's this whole well of sadness and fear about that is locked inside, that needs to be talked through, and not just talked through, but responded to. If you tend to withdraw, you are vulnerable to not feeling good enough, to feeling unworthy, to feeling inadequate. And you've got to get in touch with those feelings and not just avoid them and try to keep harmony, because that it doesn't actually help. It might feel like it's helping in the moment to keep that harmony, but it's not. It's just a part of the dynamic and a part of the pattern that we need to fight together. So pause and self-reflect. What am I actually feeling? What am I really needing? Really reflect on that for yourself. Take some time to do that. I do believe this is best done in relationships, meaning like a relationship with a therapist. You sit there. I have the experience all the time where I'm working with a client and they say like, "Oh, I didn't know I actually felt that way. That was underneath everything." Um, if you can't see a therapist, journal about it. Like sit with yourself. Maybe have a friend really go to a friend and say, "I don't really know what's underneath this. Can we just talk through it for a bit? Can you help me do that?" Or do that with your partner. Um, "Hey, I know there's something underneath this, but I don't really know what it is. I think I need kind of a journey of discovery with it, but I need help. I need someone to talk to about it and to take me there. Can we do that together?" So express your needs authentically, vulnerably, and directly. You need to send a direct signal. Don't say, "You never do this." That is not a direct signal. That is a nervous system response that triggers the partner and keeps you caught in the same pattern. Don't just avoid it and try to keep harmony. That is not expressing your needs authentically. Tell them, "I really want to feel closer. Could you help me with that? I really want to feel like my efforts to be a good partner are working. Could you help me with that? I feel afraid when we fight like this. I feel afraid of losing you. I feel really sad that we are in this place together." So express your needs authentically, vulnerably, and directly. That changes the dynamic. Instead of you getting caught in this pattern where you trigger each other mutually, you can start to trigger a natural biological process of responsiveness and turning towards an emotional engagement and responsiveness and the caregiving, empathetic response. Um, so I just want to point out, we might always have our kind of automatic little tendency to either go into a turtle shell or turn up the emotional heat and be the cat. That is okay. That does not in any way mean that you're doomed to have an unhealthy relationship. In fact, I believe every single person has one or the other tendency. Um, when you learn how to manage your tendency and create a positive cycle of turning towards an emotional engagement, that pattern self-reinforces over time. And that pattern gets stronger and stronger over time, just like the negative pattern does. So that means that when you get on the right track, your relationship gets better and better and better over time. When you learn how to communicate in this way that gets you on the track of the positive cycle, because it's self-reinforcing as well. Like the closer that you feel, the more that you engage in a way that shows your partner your well-being matters to me, and the more close they feel and the more they show you, you get in this response where you both give to each other because you both feel cared about and you're both having your emotional needs met. And when we feel cared about and like our emotional needs are met, we want to give back. We want to give. And so that you want to get on that track of the self-reinforcing positive pattern. So this looks like these two turtles over here hugging, or the cat and the mouse. They're learning how to be together in a way that says, "I accept you and love you for exactly who you are. And now that we fought the cycle together, I feel so much closer to you. I feel closer to you even than I ever have." That's what I hear people say all the time when they go through EFT. Um, So thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I want to answer some questions, but here's my Instagram if you want to stay in contact. Um, would love a follow. And if you ever want to shoot me a DM about anything, like I love hearing from people. And this stuff is like I'm obsessed with it and I think it's the most amazing thing ever. So I'm more than happy to just talk about anything having to do with it, whether that's like a DM or you want to have a phone convo or anything. So follow me on Instagram. I've also got a Facebook profile. It's Dr. Tasha spelled like that, Seiter. That's my name. So let's leave it there, but I want to open the floor and hear any questions or comments or anything.